I have a different kind of card for you today. I did not design it, and I don't have the original here, and some of the stuff that we used for the original card I'm out of because we made a lot of cards, and some of the ribbon that we used on the original card was on 2 cards because it was beautiful and we had more than one designer and limited supplies. So I'm going to change this up, and I'm pretty sure that I have a picture of the original card on my phone, so I'm going to add that to my blog so you can go look at it when you are done watching the video. So I'm going to use Good Morning Magnolia. It's a really pretty set, and the dies that come with it, actually you can do a little 3D Magnolia, but I'm not going to do that today. This is just a more of a simple card. I'm going to use this giant, beautiful Magnolia, and then I'm going to use some of the swirlies in it and the sayings. So I'm going to also use some of the New Memories and More cards. Look how pretty they are. They're craft colored, and they have some really pretty silver outlines. And then it comes also with an envelope liner that you can choose to line your envelopes, or if you want to use it later for some designer series paper, you could do that too. But I am going to stick mine in my envelope. They're real simple to use. You don't have to add any adhesive or anything. It harkens back to the days like when I got married, when wedding invitations were a bit more fancy than they are now. So you just slide that in there. In fact, these would make lovely wedding invitations. The one I'm going to do today, you could switch it up and it could easily be a wedding invitation. So I'm going to use, first I'm going to use Mossy Meadow. And there's a stamp in it that says, she didn't put the stickers on because, you know, she's watched my videos. Thinking of you. My friend Heather designed this card, and she's not been stamping for very long. About a year, I think. She hasn't been a demonstrator for very long either, about less than a year. So I've got the Thinking of You in Mossy Meadow, and this is on shimmer white cardstock. Get that out of the way. And then go back to my card. I know that she used also another stamp in here, but I've already cleaned that one and put it up. So I'm just going to use the saying. She had a little stamp, and I thought about getting the tiny Magnolia out, but I just wanted to get this done. So you could add, there's a little Magnolia, and if you wanted, you could put that on the inside. But I'm just going to put the saying, which I'm going to have to read it to you after I stamp, because again, there's no sticker. And hopefully I didn't do it upside down, but you know, if I did, I didn't. So it says Thinking of You on the outside, not only for what you do, but for being someone so special. So there's the inside. And then it's got this swirly, and I'm fairly certain, maybe they did it in Mossy Meadow, there wasn't. My husband helps me clean up after this massively huge event. And so not everything made it back into the bucket as normal, but it looks to me like they used a different color and not Mossy Meadow. But you know, we're gonna go for Mossy Meadow. And I'm not quite sure where they put this. I think it went on the envelope, so that's where ours is going. Just right here on the flap, because this is a really pretty little floral thing, just for an accent. There we go. Yeah, that's super pretty. So the night of the event, you know, when you're also hosting, I did not get all of my cards stamped. In fact, I made 2 and I didn't even put them together. So, you know, it is what it is. I was busy chit-chatting and talking to people and doing dinner. So for this, we have some vellum cardstock and our Versamark pad and this giant stamp, which again doesn't have a sticker on it. Partly those were because we were in a hurry. And you know, when you're in a hurry to mount your stickers, it takes time. So we can go back and do that later. And they cling just as well with no sticker as if you have the cling. So back before we had the cling mount, I often didn't mount my stickers just because I didn't want them falling off. So just put this on here. And with these big stamps, there's not really a danger of them catching edges. So you can press really hard because you want to make sure that you got it everywhere. So press really hard. And in fact, with the vellum, you can pick it up. Now you can see that right here, maybe I didn't get it. So just push right there. So it looks now like everywhere I got it. Then you want to be careful when you pull it up that you don't get the splatter. So just kind of pull it up gently so it doesn't splatter everywhere. And then we have that. And we are going to use white embossing powder. sprinkle that liberally everywhere, because that's all going back in here what you don't use. You can tell it's a little humid here today, so I got some clumps. And this is a big one, so you are going to need scrap paper. A lot of times you don't need scrap paper if it's a tiny design, because you can just keep it on side your card and tilt it back in there. But this is a big one, and it takes up a lot of space. It's beautiful. And then just fling off the extra. And you have the image of your magnolia. Just put your extra back in there, and I have had this same white embossing powder for not quite a million years, but it seems like it. It's got an old logo. Let's see what logo it has. It has a blue one. So, and lots of people use my stuff. Like 15 or so people used it the other night, and you know, it doesn't even look like anybody's used it. So now get your embossing gun nice and hot. And I heat from the bottom because I'm back from the dark ages before we had embossing guns. So you just want it, you can see it start to turn. Maybe I'll get a little bit closer. Once it goes from vanilla to white, you know it's heated. All of the colors are a little bit different. If you've not done embossing before, white's a good color to start with because it's so obvious when it's done. And if you do it from the bottom, there's a lot of reasons. One, just because that's how I learned how to do it, because I learned how to emboss without a gun. But also, if there's some place where it didn't quite stick, then the air won't blow it off. So there we go. Let's get that nice and dry. And then to color this in, I was in the room when Heather was designing it, and she wanted a nice subtle look on there. So we're going to take our markers. Now we're going to flip them up, our paper upside down, and this is going to be super subtle because really subtle colors of markers. This is soft seafoam, so just color on the back. And it's nice because you don't even have to stay in the lines because you have a lot of grace. Because you have all the way up to the edge of the embossing. So get all your leaves. First, you could use your blends if you want to use blends, but you can use markers. It just depends on what colors you have. You could use a mix of both. So we just went with these because you don't really need two colors, but you could if you wanted to. If you do markers, you can go on the back. If you do blends, you can go on the top. A little on the stem there. So you can see now it's a more subtle effect here than there. It's a little bit more bright, and this just tones it down. It's really pretty. It looks a little bit like stained glass. And then I'm going to use Petal Pink. And I think they colored in their whole flower. I'm not sure. I should have looked at the picture on my phone before I did this. Because, you know, I have slept several days and had a holiday and done a lot of baking. And I've also filmed several videos in between last seeing this card. It's been almost a week. Well, no. It's been we've done a lot in the last few days because this time last Monday, Heather wasn't even here yet. So she wasn't here, so we had not even seen the new Stampin' Up! Stuff because we got the box on Tuesday. And today's Monday, so we didn't even have the stamps. They came in Tuesday. We opened the box on a live Facebook, so we waited. We had the box for a few hours. What kind of discipline is that? We had it for a few hours before we even opened it because we wanted to do it on Facebook Live. So there you go. There's the pink. Now get the big shot up here. And then I think she designed this card. It may have been her first one. If it was her first one, then she did it Tuesday night because we did 3 cards on Tuesday night, and then we did the other 11 on Wednesday before we had like 11 people come over and stamp them on Wednesday night and cut out all that paper. So this has a die to cut it out. Now the new dies, they're much more, they don't take anything special to run them through the die cutting machine, but they cut really close. So it's up to you if you want to try to use washi tape, or you can just make sure it's right where you want it to go. which it moved when I was talking to you. So kind of like press it down, make sure it's right where you want it to go. My paper's bending because it's been through the heat gun. And then when you lay it down, make sure it's right where you want it to be, because there's not a lot of extra room like there were on the dice from Sizzix, because these are right snug against it. And only go once, don't go back and forth, because then if it moves at all, it's going to cut off part of your image. Isn't that pretty? So super pretty. And then I'll go back to my saying, and I'm going to use the nested, I think they're just called nested dies. And I did use them on a bird card, which may or may have not posted. I've already made it, but it depends on what order I do these in. And this is where, okay, this looks like it might go off the edge of the paper, but I'm actually cutting the inside, and I want to be able to tie my ribbon over here. So I'm going to go a little bit this direction. And this is where they had some green cord that goes with the Magnolia suite. Oops. And that's what we're out of. Because they made giant, beautiful wraparound, here comes my helper, bows. And so it used up all of the cord, and it was actually on 2 cards. Because, you know, if you love the ribbon, why not put it on 2 things? But the nice thing about these new dies is the rectangle, you know, it would have stuck in there. These are not, like, they don't hurt. If you've used our stitched dies before, they hurt to touch them. That does not hurt, but then it also doesn't jag itself into the paper the way the other dies used to. Okay, so I do know that this was mounted on here. That I remember. And because we have colored it, you have a little bit more grace with your, where you can put adhesive. But I'm going to try to put it just behind where there's bits of white embossing powder, because it will hide it a little bit more. And it's going to curve up a tiny bit because it was just heated. But as it sits, it will relax. And you don't want to cover up all of the beautiful silver. It's kind of a pearlized silver. Okay, and so then they slid this up under here, because you can still see through it, and then they wrapped their cord around. So I don't have any cord, but I have these other 2 ribbons. And they're kind of big compared to what hers were, so I think I'm going to go with this one. This one I knew was the right color, but I think it's kind of big. So I'm just going to go here. I'm not going to do any giant floofy thing, because I don't want it to overwhelm my words. I could have squished my words over a little bit more. Okay, let's do one of my ribbons where I can just wrap this around the back. And you know, I've done what I tell you not to all the time, where I cut my ribbon before. I know what I'm going to do. You know, nothing like thinking on the fly. Let's do this. I know it's supposed to go here. Yeah, I still want it to go there, but I'm going to add a little bit here. That way we'll get some of the petal pink on here. So add that there. The twine was prettier, but I don't have it, so you make what works. There we go. And now when I tie this around, I'm going to cut some of that pink off, so don't you worry. I don't have my sharpest little pair of snips over here. They need to be sharpened. So bring this up here. I'm just going to do a knot. This is new ribbon 2 that will be in the new catalog. Like that. Actually, it doesn't look so terrible like that. Let me see. Oh yes, we can make this work. Because I have glue dots within my reach if I need to. Now you can make your ribbon go where you want it to go. But we'll slide this up in here. You don't want to cover up too much of my pretty pearlized stuff. And then I'm just going to take some glue dots, which I right here. The end of my take your pick tool, which I tend to not keep mine on my tool anymore because I like to just be able to reach the different parts. I'm going to squish this in here and make it more of a scrunchy ribbon as opposed to just a flat ribbon. There we go. Now we have the color on there. How many of you like when your glue dots fall off your spool? It happens to me all the time. I'll just stick this under here. And then we're still going to get the, nothing like designing on the fly, eh? So we can get that stuck under there. So we keep the shape of our die. One more maybe. There we go. Oh, I guess I need one more there. Now that I know what I'm doing, this is what I do sometimes when I design my first card. I kind of place it with the glue dots, and then the second go around, when you guys see it for real, I know what I'm doing, so I don't need to use as many glue dots. But that works. And now you have a little bit of a hint of the other without it. I didn't want it to lose my other point. So there you go, and let's bring the envelope back. And if you wanted to take more time, you could use your little markers and color in the envelope liner so it would match. But you know, it's just an envelope liner, so it's not a big deal. And there's the thing on the outside. So it's a really, really pretty set. And I'm sure that there will be lots of people that come up with gorgeous ideas using the die that makes the 3D magnolias. But for right now, that's not me. So enjoy your day, and I hope you like the card. Bye.